Hello, Algebra 1. This is the solutions video for PA3 Quick Quiz 2. This is all about solving one-step equations using inverse operations. Big thing here, show the inverse operation. I know that you can do these in your head, and that's okay. Show me that you know the inverse operation step. So if I'm looking at number 1, I have -7 plus p equals -4. First thing we got to do, we got to figure out what the variable is. In this case, it is p. I'm trying to get p by itself. What I'm going to do to both sides, though, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And I would end up with p equals +3. And I can check my work too. If I plug 3 back in up here, is -7 plus 3, does that equal -4? It sure does. It sure does. But you need to show me the inverse step. Okay. Number 2, b minus 13 equals, or 4 equals b minus 13. The opposite of subtraction. The inverse operation of subtraction is addition. I'm going to do that to both sides again. And I have 17 equals b. I can check my work again. Does 17 minus 13 equal 4? Sure does. Here we go. We move on. N plus 12 equals 29. Show me that you need to subtract 12 from both sides. N equals 17. We throw that back in there. Does 17 plus 12 equal 29? Yep. X minus 26 equals -30. I'm going to add 26 to both sides. If I do that, if I've got a -30, and I come back 26, I'm not quite back to 0. So I'm going to have a negative number. And what's the difference between 30 and 26? That would be 4. Check your work. Does -4 minus 26 equal -30? Sure does. If I start with -4, I go 26 more negative, I end up at -30. Number 5, -28 equals -10 plus n. Now, keep in mind, you could also rewrite this if you're just not feeling confident. Keep the n positive, the 10 is negative. These two statements are the same. Those two statements are the exact same. Keep that in mind when you're rewriting these things. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Do you need this first step, that rearranging? No, because you just got to add 10 to both sides. -18 equals n. Check your work. -10 plus -18, that is -28. Here we start to get into some interesting stuff. A divided by 9. A divided by 9 equals -3. Divided by 9, so the inverse operation, what's the inverse of division? Multiplication. So instead of dividing by 9, I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. 9 and 9 simplify to 1. 9 divided by 9 simplify to 1, or just A. -3 times 9 is -27. And check it. Check your work, right? Does -27 divided by 9 equal -3? Sure does. -3 equals -3. You can always check your work in PA3. -70 equals 7x. Well, x is the variable. When I've got a coefficient next to my variable or a number next to my letter, right? Coefficient next to my variable, that indicates multiplication. What is the inverse or the opposite of multiplication? So you can undo it. That would be division. Division. -10 equals x. Check your work. Does 7 times -10 equal -70? It sure does. I love these because you can always check your work. You always know if you're right if you do the arithmetic correct, all right? -14 equals b divided by 5. Well, to solve for this one, I'm trying to isolate b, right? Get b by itself. So the inverse operation here would be multiplying both sides by 5 because it's b divided by 5. Multiply both sides by 5. Make that 5 over 1, right? Because I can simplify 5 and 5 to get 1. Multiply across to get -14. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm just going to leave that as -14. So -14 equals B. Looking good. Looking good. Number 9, let's carry on. Let's get this momentum. Keep it going. Number 9 and number 10 are the ones that are most commonly missed. So let's take a look. We have 5/3 B equals, whoa, There we go. 5/3 b equals 25/12. 5/3 b equals 25/12. You know that b is being multiplied by 5/3. Normally you just say, hey, divide both sides by 5/3. Well, how do you divide fractions? You divide fractions by inverting and multiplying. So if I invert the fraction, I'd be multiplying both sides by 3/5. And how do I know that this works, right? Well, 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. And that simplifies to 1. You can cross simplify because it's multiplying. That all becomes 1. B equals, now we need to cross simplify here. Let's look at 25 and 5. Well, 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 goes into 5 one time. 3 and 12 look pretty good. 3 goes into 3 one time. Whoops, one time. 3 goes into 12 4 times. I multiply across. 5 times 1 is 5. On bottom, 4 times 1 is 4. B is 5/4. Check it if you don't believe me. Check it if you don't believe me. Number 10. Number 10, I have negative 9/10 equals 2x divided by 5. Now, 2x divided by 5, 2x divided by 5 is the same as 2/5 x. Okay, and how do I know that? Well, I know that I'm dividing by 5, so I'd have to multiply both sides by 5 to get x alone. I'd also have to divide by 2 because I'm multiplying by 2. So what I'm going to do here, I got negative 9/10 equals 2x divided by 5. I'm going to multiply both sides by 5/2, or 5/2. And why do I do that? Well, 5 and 5 simplify to 1. 5 divided by 5 simplifies to 1. 2 and 2 simplify to 1. So on the right-hand side, I'm just left with x. Let's look and see what I can simplify. I can simplify 5 and 10. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 10 two times. I cannot simplify here, though. So I'm going to multiply across. 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. 2 times 2 is 4. X is negative 9/4. There you go. There you go. If you have questions, make sure I get them. Hope you guys are doing well. Take care.